Hi, today we're going to learn how to use VPN to stay secure and private online. Wow, this is a tough job. Just kidding. When you use NordVPN, all it takes is just a single click. See for yourself. Click, and you're browsing securely on public Wi-Fi. Click, your ISP can't see what you do online. Click, and you're in a different country. Well, virtually. Any device you have there, NordVPN has you covered. Everything else is just details. But if you care to know more, NordVPN has more than 5,000 servers all over the world. It protects your sensitive data with advanced encryption, shields you from malware and phishing sites, and keeps no logs of your online activity.
Click link in the description and get 68% discount for your first order. Sanding the floor. Prepare your workspace. Set up your workspace in a well-ventilated area and ensure that there is no smoking or open flames around. Consider wearing a half-face respirator with an organic vapor cartridge if the ventilation is poor. Clean and dry the wood floor. Wash the floor with your usual wood floor cleanser. Once it's completely clean, use a microfiber cloth to dry the floor. If you have a dehumidifier, run it until the humidity in the room is below 50%. The temperature in the room should be between 60 deg F16 deg C and 75 deg F24 deg C. Sand away old varnishes or lacquers. If you're only finishing a small area, such as a door or board, use a sanding block or sandpaper. If you're finishing an entire floor, use a drum or band sander. Either way, sand away old varnishes or lacquers using a very rough or medium grit 40 to 60. Then, move to a medium or fine grit 100 to 120 for light sanding. If the wood doesn't have old finishes to remove, you can use a medium grit around 80. Fill any cracks, dents, or holes with wood filler. Wipe away any dust from sanding and check the entire surface of the wood for small cracks, dents, or holes that need to be filled. Spread a wood filler or putty in over the spaces and let it dry for a few hours or according to the manufacturer's instructions. Sand the filled surface. Once the wood filler has hardened completely, take medium or fine grit 100 to 120 sandpaper and rub it over the surface of the wood. This will ensure that there aren't any bumps on the prepared wood. Vacuum up all dust from the wood. Use the soft brush attachment of a vacuum cleaner to suck up the dust from your prepared wood. Ensure that you don't scratch the wood as you run the attachment over it. Applying the first coat, stir the Osmo Polyx oil. Open your can of hard wax oil and use a long wooden paint stick to stir the oil. Keep stirring until the oil that's separated is emulsified. You shouldn't see any clear oil floating to the top. Pour some of the oil into your paint tray. Dip a floor brush into the Osmo Polyx oil and dab it over the wood. You can use an Osmo floor brush or a floor brush you purchased from a hardware store. Dip the brush into the oil in your paint tray and dab it 2 to 3 times over the wood you're finishing. Leave 4 to 6 inches 10 to 15 cm of space between each dab of oil. Scrub the oil into the wood using the floor brush. Floor brush, floor brush. Clean the floor brush. Floor brush, floor brush, floor brush. Floor brush, floor brush, floor brush. Floor brush, floor brush. Floor brush, floor brush, floor brush. Floor brush, floor brush. Using the Take the brush and scrub against the grain to spread the oil over a larger space. You should see a thin layer of oil coat the surface of the wood. Rub the oil against the grain. Continue to use the floor brush to scrub the oil into the wood, but turn the brush so you're going with the grain. Scrub until the brush is dry. Avoid lifting the brush up off of the wood and back down because this will leave noticeable streaks. Instead, keep stroking and rubbing the brush across the wood. Work a small area of the wood at a time. If you're finishing a floor, you'll need to apply and scrub in the Osmo Polyx in small sections before moving to the rest of the floor. This will ensure that the oil doesn't harden before you've had a chance to scrub it into the wood. When sealing a floor, start in the corner so you can work your way towards the door. Store the Osmo Polyx Oil and floor brush. Wrap the tray with the Osmo Polyx oil and the floor brush in an airtight plastic bag. This will prevent the oil from drying out as the wood dries. Spreading the second coat, dry the wood for 24 hours. Although you need to apply one more coat of Osmo Polyx oil, it's important to let the first coat dry completely. If you think the wood is ready for another coat, check it by rubbing a small area with a green scrubby pad. If you see white powder flake off, the wood is ready for another coat of oil. If not, wait several more hours and check again. Apply the second coat of Osmo Polyx oil. Remove the plastic wrap from the paint tray and brush. Dip the floor brush into the Osmo Polyx oil and dab it over the wood a few times. Scrub the oil across the floor as you did for the first coat. Remember to start by going against the grain before you work the oil with the grain. Clean the brush and paint tray with paint thinner. Once you've finished the second coat, rub paint thinner through the bristles of the brush. This will prevent the oil from drying in the brush, 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 in the brush. Then use the paint thinner to clean out the paint tray. Dispose of any oil-soaked materials. Never throw oil-soaked rags or sanding dust into the trash. Let them dry and place them in a small airtight container such as a coffee can. Pour a water and oil breakdown detergent over the rags and seal the container. Contact your city about hazardous waste collection. Let the floor dry completely. Avoid walking or installing the finished wood for at least 8 to 24 hours after applying the second coat. You will still need to be careful when you move furniture over the wood or lay rugs down. Wait a few weeks to cover the wood so the oil can cure properly.